Hi everyone. So let us see how we can write a array program. So first of all, I will include some header files, and so IOStream is basically for doing input and output. So we will use it for cin and cout. Which are the input and output statements in C++. So what we will do, let's create an array. So let's say we have an array of marks, and let us say we are just creating it for 10 students. Okay, so now we may ask the user, okay, tell us how many students we want to give as input. So I can say, okay, int n, scene n, and maybe let us increase the size of the array. That means we have reserved the memory for up to 100 students, but we will ask, okay, how many students we want to enter. Okay, so enter the number of students. Okay, so user says, okay, I want to enter the marks of 5 students. So what we will do, we will say, okay, for int I equals to 0, I less than n, I plus plus, I can say, okay, give me the marks of ith student. Okay, so we are storing the marks from the range 0 to n minus 1. So this is how we are doing input, and let us do output as well. So I can say for int I equals to 0, I less than n, I plus plus, and I can say cout marks of I, and let's give a comma and maybe a endl. So that's it. Let's build the code. Build is successful, and let us try to run this code. Okay, so I want to say I want to give marks of, let's say, 8 students, and let's say the marks are 10, 12, 90, 80, 32, 44, 66. Okay, and maybe 70. So you can see we are getting these marks printed. So these are getting stored inside the memory, and then we are printing it. Okay, so now what we did is, I will just give you a quick recap. So we made an array called marks, and this could have up to 100 places, but we only used a small part of this array. Okay, so this is 99, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we only used this much part of the array, and we stored marks here. We iterated from 0 till n minus 1, that is 7. So these are 8 students. We said, okay, take input these values and store them at here. Okay, so when I say scene marks of 0, so whatever is the first input, that will get stored in this particular value. So maybe let's say this is 80, so 80 will get stored here. Similarly at scene of 1, scene of 2, scene marks of 2, marks of 3, and so on. Similarly we are doing a cout here. Okay, so this is how we can do input and output. Okay, it may also happen that you want to take start input from 1. Okay, so in that case what you can do, you can say, okay, let us print the values from 1 to n, and let us try to print the values from 1 to n, and maybe you can say marks of 0 equals minus 1. Maybe this is not defined. You can also do something like this. You can assign a value. Okay, or maybe you can also do an update that every marks should be multiplied by 2. Okay, so whatever marks you are getting should be multiplied by 2. So you can say marks of I equals marks of I multiplied by 2. So let us run this program again and see. If I say I have only 4 students, and let's say marks are 10, 20, 30, and 40. So you can see we are getting the output 20, 40, 60, and 80. So we are able to update the values in the array. Now you may ask, we didn't get this value. Why? The reason is, although this value is getting stored, but we are not printing it. We are starting our loop from I equal to 1. So if I say this loop should start from 0, then you will see this value is also present. I have 4 students, let's say 10, 20, 30, and 40, and you can see this minus 1 is present at 0th index, and the next values are already there. Okay, and what happens if I print it till less than 100? In that case, we have not done any initialization here. What we will see the remaining values could be garbage. Okay, so you can see we are getting these random values. So these are because we are printing till 100 and we have not passed in any value at that particular point. Okay, so this is nothing but garbage. But one thing we discussed, if we do a initialization of the array, then the remaining garbage would become equal to 0. So if I say, okay, initialize this array with the first value as 0, so if you do initialization of some elements, then the remaining elements automatically become 0. Okay, so even if you put a -1 here and you remove this statement, you will see the remaining elements of the array would automatically take this value of 0. Okay, so let's say 10, 20, 30 and 40, and you can see the remaining elements are always 0 in this case. Okay, so I hope you understood all these aspects of creating, updating input and output of a array. Let's see the next lecture.